So I've never really had the time to try out Infinity Nikki, and it's now been over a year since it's been released. However, it looks like the game has undergone some major changes with the launch of the 2.0 version, and in today's video, I'm gonna take a look at it briefly and share my own thoughts about it. Full disclosure though, this video is sponsored by Infinity Nikki team, which I'm grateful for, and although I'm kinda overwhelmed with everything that's going on in this game, but good news are, things have been quite smooth thanks to a bunch of new player-friendly changes. And starting with the first change, the story. So it's actually interesting. I was able to immediately jump into the 2.0 story without needing to know what happened previously. Sure, there's probably some callbacks to past events and so on, but the current story that's set in the new region, Itzaland, I think that's how it's pronounced, although some voice actors seem to pronounce it Itzaland. Anyway, I found the story to be easy to digest and quite intriguing. Basically, Nikki, while traversing a canyon to the new region, suddenly ends up swapping places with this saintess during a ceremony. However, since only few of the citizens knew how saintess looked like, Nikki decides to adopt her new fake identity because it was the original saintess herself who asks Nikki to help out due to some nefarious plot that's happening. And these evil doings mostly have to do with this new religion that popped up not so long ago called Docilism. The majority of its followers are these shroomlings, and yes, they are super cute, but it does seem like this religion is manipulating its followers in various ways, and at the center of all of it is the priestess, the story's villain. So now, Nikki, as the saintess, needs to find out what the evil plan is, help the shroomlings and the rest of the citizens overcome this weird Docilism religion, and along the way, encounter many side adventures. I mean, look, to me this is a pretty unusual story, especially in a live service game, so I kinda liked it. Not only that, due to so many years of my girlfriend forcing me to listen to musicals, especially animated musicals, has made me, well, appreciate the experience. Like, this game definitely has that Disney charm to it. And yeah, I like good tunes, and I enjoyed listening to some of them, like this boat ride where one of the shroomlings sang together with Nikki. But yeah, overall, this new 2.0 story allows exploration of the unknown and secrets, but at the same time, I am able to switch between the older storylines freely. However, for this video, I've only experienced the majority of 2.0 story. Still, let's talk about the open world aspects. Right now, the new 2.0 region Itzaland contains two zones, the massive Elderwood Forest and the beautiful village called Spira. Not only that, but Elderwood Forest contains several closed instance dungeons, such as Mother Shroom Dungeon and Coliseum, both of which I interacted with. The dungeons themselves felt pretty great because they contain tons of interesting puzzles and secrets. However, as for the open world zones, man, I am playing on max graphics settings with a 4K monitor and it looks drop dead gorgeous. It also helps that the environment just feels silky smooth, like I'm in a fairy tale. From beautiful canyons to swamps to oversized leaves I can jump on, everything just looks superb. In fact, you can even ride snails in this new region, which is quite funny. And yeah, there's tons of secrets, side quests, and puzzles I had the pleasure of experiencing, especially when exploring Elderwood Forest. Now, believe it or not, I actually didn't expect this, but the game has combat. Granted, it's pretty much just a mechanic and less of a system you can interact with. Like, there are boss fights in the game, but they feel more like a platforming challenge or a puzzle. Nikki does have an HP bar of sorts. Well, she has hearts that she can lose when getting hit, but I never had a problem with getting KO'd. It's just not in the nature of this game, and to me, that's fine. Sometimes I like to get away from all the sweaty fighting and just go for a relaxing combat system that lets me beat up tiny enemies or big bosses with ease. Still, with the 2.0 update, the combat went through a major overhaul. You see, Infinity Nikki is first and foremost a dress-up game, so any piece of clothing you obtain, Nikki can wear it, mix it up, and even use the clothing in these shows to determine who has the best looking apparel. However, some outfit sets when initially unlocked can grant Nikki new abilities, one of which is the new combat ability, Archery. Previously, main combat ability was Purifying Orb, which was more of a melee playstyle. However, with Archery, well, as the name suggested, now she can go on a ranged rampage. And that's not all. There's even a skill tree and different abilities you can assign to her ranged attacks with Archery. By default, she can shoot by tapping, or by holding it, several of the ranged shots can be charged up and released. But with abilities, which two of them can be assigned, she can do things like shoot a piercing arrow, or an arrow that can knock enemies away, or even release this fan-shaped attack. These These abilities can be customized in this menu, and later on, you can unlock different variations of abilities by obtaining new bows from exploration. Not only that, but archery also comes in useful for exploration. There's times when you use it to shoot down objects hanging in the air like a chest, or it's even utilized to collect wind stars, one of the most important collectibles in the game that grant progression to the account. Still, I am able to switch between archery or purifying orb, which is pretty nice if you just want to stick with good old melee playstyle. Now, besides combat receiving a facelift, there's 3 new other abilities introduced with 2.0, and starting with my favorite one, gigantification. That's right, you can literally grow into a massive Nikki and interact with the world in a different way. For example, as a giantess, she can smush these mushrooms by standing on them, and then if I turn back to normal, she gets launched into air. Or when I was doing Colosseum Dungeon, she can drag around these massive crates, and then when I turn back her to regular self, she can slip through small openings. So it's a very interesting ability to use and solve puzzles. But it's also got some practical use. You can dash with the massive Nikki, and this way, explore the world faster thanks to increased speed. There's also been times where I couldn't access areas without first turning into a giantess because, well, the giant jumps allow me to gain higher elevation. Still, besides going big, the other ability called Sticky Claw allows Nikki to use this grappling hook by latching onto certain objects, and she can quickly traverse areas mid-air. It's an alright ability, but it becomes much more interesting later on, and I'll talk about it in a moment. Finally, there's the Battle Companion ability. This allows her Nikki to summon various different creatures who will fight for her, and again, while the combat is pretty much just a chill experience, in my opinion it becomes much more fun when you can use tiny or even big critters to help Nikki out. So overall, these 4 new abilities felt exciting to try out, and keep in mind, each ability initially also unlocks a full outfit to match its theme. However, again, this is an extremely customizable dress-up game, so nobody's stopping you from just creating custom looks for each ability when it's activated. And I'm not gonna lie, I spent like a few hours creating my own fashionable looks. Are they fashionable? Probably only to me. Now, while you can obtain a ton of clothing pieces by just exploring the world, doing daily tasks, participating in various game modes, and so on, there is a gacha mechanic for collecting 5-star outfits. And with 2.0, there's 2 different banners, and starting with the Behind Prayers costume, by pulling all of its 10 pieces, she can unlock new modifications to the Sticky Claw ability I've talked about previously. Now, she can glide in air after using the grappling hook, which is pretty useful. However, I can also suspend her in mid-air by pressing jump button, and then you can take a look around before unsuspending yourself. Is that how you say it? Finally, she can even place new grappling hook points with this 5-star costume, so pretty useful if you revisit some areas often. Now, the other limited banner 5-star is Born Flawless. This costume essentially grants completely new visuals to the archery combat ability, and not only that, now it can unleash an ultimate, which looks quite dazzling. Again, as a reminder, this game's combat is super trivial, so it's not like you're forced to pull for it. It's just a pretty costume with some extra oomph on top of it. And the thing is, clothing style is highly subjective. I know, shocking, right? But I felt like when I was going through 2.0, I received a lot of pieces for free that I could mix and match to create my own horrible styles that I, as a man, thought looked pretty. This is why I only wear t-shirts. Don't judge me. But yeah, the reason I'm mentioning this is that the 2.0 rewards so far have been quite nice. Like, you can obtain this 5-star event clothing set called Radiant Crown, and all you need to do is participate in a bunch of events. There's also this Melody Bloom birthday outfit marking the 1-year anniversary that can be claimed for free, and there's even a storyline attached to it. On top of that, a new miracle outfit called Providence Immemorial can be obtained, which looks really gorgeous, and these miracle outfits are actually part of the major plot line, so they can be obtained for free. And then there's a bunch of more rewards that I honestly lost count of, but this overview from their latest livestream gives a nice way to see what you can expect from tuning into the 2.0 version. Overall, as someone who hasn't played Infinity Nikki or its previous titles, I had a great time with it. Sure, you could say that it's because I'm sponsored, but I genuinely had fun with exploration, story, and the whole dress-up stuff. Despite the fact my channel is called Gacha Gamer, I have been playing games all my life, and I've played every genre there is, so I can appreciate the unique selling points of this game. In fact, when I asked about it, my girlfriend told me that this game has an impressive amount of clothing, and she liked that, of course. Plus, when I told her that the combat is basically a chill thing you don't have to worry about, and there's singing and cute stuff and a beautiful world to explore, well, now she's playing the game alongside with me. So yeah, I think now is a great time to come back or start playing Infinity Nikki, and the changes with the 2.0 are excellent. Probably the most crucial one I would consider would be the brand new storyline, because it was just so much easier to sink my teeth into this game without needing to go through the backlog of stories the game had released over the past year. And once I'm done with the 2.0 story, yeah, I'm going back and checking out the rest of the storylines. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, hope you enjoyed it, and I'd appreciate it if you could support my channel by using my link and downloading Infinity Nikki from the description below. Thanks, and see you next time.